Hi everyone, it's Allison, and I'm going to do day 2 of Ethony's 31 Days of Tarot Challenge on the 5th of January, so I'm already really late. This is my first ever YouTube video. I am not sure if I'll even get it uploaded. I just enjoyed watching other people's videos so much that I thought I would give it a try myself. And this is a good one to start with because everybody likes to see the deck videos. I don't think I'll have something to say for all 31 days because I'm pretty new to tarot. I'm just learning over the last couple of years, but it's been a very slow process for me just in terms of the time I've devoted to it and just my own progress, which I actually am really glad about. I'm glad that it's taken time to sink in and for me to learn. I am here. I have a fefew quiet minutes. My husband and daughter are out. My 2 dogs are going a bit crazy, so they might bark during this because it's minus 35 here. And here's one. And they want to go outside, but it's so cold. They're just going out for very short amounts of time. So this was the top 5 decks of 2017, and I acquired a lot of decks in 2017, but none of them really are new as of 2017. It's because I'm learning what I like and what I don't like. And I had some deck purchase missteps and not missteps, just ones that I don't think I'll really use very much before this, but I did buy a lot in 2017, or I actually found a lot used, which is great. So I'm going to go through my top ones that I enjoy. Really, my top deck of 2017 would be the Centennial Rider-Waite because I used it the most, but I figured everybody uses that one so much that I'm even cheating for my first one. I'm going to talk about 2 other rider-waite decks that I also use this year. This one is my only 2017 one, the Borderless rider-waite edition. Part of me thought when I got it, what a dumb thing to do because I spent money on it, and I could have just trimmed another rider-waite deck that I have. I found a couple in used bookstores and in Value Village quite cheaply. But I just don't like small cards. I have big hands, and I like the images to have space to move and breathe. So in the end, I am really glad I got this one. The cardstock is lovely, same as the Centennial. Other people don't really like sorry, I'm not very good at this. They don't like the backs, but I quite like the color of the backs. But okay, real talk, hang on. How can I show my disgust and the card? Why would you put borders on the Borderless edition on the back? I don't get it. Why? Why would you do that? I assumed when I purchased it, I don't know how these YouTubers do it. I assumed when I purchased it, the back would also be borderless, but I guess that was too much to ask, but who cares? What it means though, is the copyright has moved to the front. I don't know there if you can see it there, which means it's entirely off the back of the card, which is of course much more important. So I really am enjoying this one. It's just like using my Centennial Rider-Waite, but just some room to breathe, which I love. I love Borderless everything. So that is the Borderless Rider-Waite, or Waite-Smith, one of those. The second one I want to show you is the Albano-waite, which is of course also not new. I had read when I was doing research on eclectic, when I was just getting into things, people saying, ugh, this is the tacky deck. I don't like these tacky colors. And so I just sort of took their word for it and didn't really investigate it. And whenever I saw the box, I was like, oh, that's the tacky deck. Oops, sorry. I love this deck. I love the colors. I love everything about it. I love the way it shuffles. It's glossy. Don't care. Not borderless. Still don't care. Oh, look at that lover's card. It's just so vibrant. So find what you like for yourself and don't necessarily listen to other people's reviews is the lesson from that. So those count as my number 1, my rider-waite decks, and of course the Centennial, which I won't even show. So the second deck I wanted to talk about is a deck, I don't think there's anything about it on YouTube anywhere, and this one's really local. Oh, shoot, there we go. This is the Elora Tarot, and Elora is a small town not very far away from where I live, and this was an art project by a woman who got all of these artists together to do one specific card. And I'm including this deck. I will never read with this deck. In many ways, I don't like this deck. But it really helped me to learn. They weren't, for the most part, people who were into tarot that created it. Mostly they were visual artists into a number of different mediums. I like more consistency in a deck. I've learned from this deck. But also seeing artist interpretations of some cards was in many ways really powerful. So while I probably won't use the deck as a whole, I will look at it and continue to think about it. So I want to show you some of the images because they're pretty cool. This is the Emperor, and this is a pretty famous site in the town where it's set. In Elora, there's a river, there's this outcropping rock that's a real local sort of legend with a mill in the background. So in that way, it's super local, and I can go and see these places. So it's really neat to see them represented in a deck. And as you can see, the art style is really different. There's the King of Swords. Oh, these cards are so big, it's hard to get them all in there. So very abstract. To the Eight of Pentacles, I actually really like this one because this is, to me, all about craft. It's like wire work and sculpture all put together, which really suits the Eight of Pentacles, I think. Ace of Cups there was actually a gallery exhibit of this deck, and there was a water feature for the Ace of Cups, which I think is really cool. I don't love the big white borders either, or the writing, and I thought about trimming it, but I didn't want to lose the artist's name on the side. I thought that would sort of be disrespectful to each individual artist. So just given the nature of the deck, I've left it, and the fact I'm not really going to read with it. Four of Wands, leading to home. I thought that was a really beautiful one. I don't need to go through all these. I'll show you a couple of the ones that I don't like before I get to ones that I really, really love. The Ten of Swords. I actually really like this card, but to me it's got way more of a Nine of Swords feel to it, that he's standing on a diving board looking into an abyss that he could jump into and seeing, I don't know how to do this on the computer, nightmarishly himself looking into another abyss. That really screams Nine of Swords to me. And that's what I love about this deck, is that it really helped me to learn what I think about each individual card as I was learning. So that's super valuable, and that's why it made my list. This Ten of Wands, I just can't. It's so funny. She's herding cats with her 10 wands. It's so good. It's so perfect. It makes me laugh. And the guidebook even says, oh, she's herding cats. Poor dear. That one's okay. Oh, the Devil. This charming, roguish devil with his jaunty top hat. I thought that was pretty great. Pretty typical Three of Swords, but I think actually very, very beautiful. I love the clearing clouds and the moon in that one. So here are the ones that really, really drew me to this deck. The Chariot is actually a photograph, and all of the other cards with photographs I don't like, but I like the 7 in the stars. I like the fact that it's from the perspective as if you were driving the chariot. It's so beautiful. The colors are gorgeous. I love that. The Four of Cups, this one is really incredibly beautiful. I'm going to try and read you the guidebook of this because this artist put so much thought into this Four of Cups. The Four of Cups is what I call the grass is always greener card. The stem of the plant is a representation of the self. The small cups are what you have. Yeah, that's better. The larger cup represents what you wish you had. If you take a closer look at the large cup, you will see the line work as a combination of the 3 smaller cups. This is to show that you already have what you desire. You just need to look at it from a different perspective. The sun is meant to represent the soul and all the brightness and vibrancy that comes from within. The rainbow and grass are actually the same on both sides. Oh, beautiful. That card is such a winner for me. I love it so much. And this one too, I thought, what an interpretation of the Eight of Swords, with the swords being cocktail swords. Oh, it was so moving. And a key around the neck. This card really makes a deck for me. So while I'm not going to read with it, I won't show you cards that bug me. There are some cards that really bug me in this deck, but I really learned from it, and I found it really valuable as a result of that. Okay, number 3. This is also one I haven't read with. It's funny. But I acquired the Tarot of the Vampires. That's not right. The Vampire Tarot by Robert Place, which is a real find. I mostly picked it up. I got it for $30 Canadian at a used bookstore, and it was still shrink wrapped. And I got it because I love the artwork of Robert Place. I'm not sure what to do with it. I did look at it a lot around Halloween, of course. And then I got into Penny Dreadful, which made me look at it a lot more. All of the court cards are actual people, which I think is interesting. I just don't know how it would read for me, the count. In the end, I'm not even sure that I'll keep it, but I was just so excited to see it because I know people go crazy for this deck. And his art is just so magical and colorful and fantastic. Jonathan is the Fool. All of the Dracula characters are, of course, here. At the time I got it, I wasn't very comfortable with pip cards either, so that probably, I'm more comfortable now, as I'll talk about in a minute. But it's pretty darn cool. I can't stand the backing. Robert Place, your artwork is so beautiful every other way, and I do not like this back. But oh well. It was just such a find, and I was so excited to have it, and I really enjoyed it around Halloween, and then I put it away, so maybe that'll turn up again in another video about decks I want to use. On the contrary, this one also didn't come out this year, but I got it. The Pagan Otherworlds Tarot, and I love it. I hemmed and hawed about this deck for a long time. Partly because in Canada it's really expensive when you convert to American dollars and then add shipping on top. That really didn't work for me. I was just getting into more pippy decks and I didn't think I'd be able to read them, but with the extra illustration on each of the pip cards, it's actually super easy with this deck. I could read it right out of the box. I wasn't sure because the creators aren't tarot readers. I was like, oh, maybe it's just a gimmick, but I think they've done such a beautiful job. I love it so much. I love all the extra cards. I'm just trying to find an example of another thing that stopped me from wanting to get this deck. Not that beautiful Seeker card, I tell you. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, okay. Here's a good example. I love animals, and I'm vegetarian, and I was really put off by all of the dead animal headdresses in this deck. And there's the perfect one, the Emperor, who is so grand and commanding, but with this dead animal on his head. And for ages, I thought that would prevent me from buying this deck. But in the end, it was so gorgeous. I couldn't not have it. And I missed the first edition. This is the second edition, although I don't think there are any changes. Don't care. I'm not that snooty. But it doesn't bother me now. And I don't know why, because I thought it would just drive me bananas. But I love it so much. Oh, look at that. Look at that. And I find it very profound. Again, dead animal on the head. But don't care for some weird reason. I don't know why on the internet it really, really bothered me. And I was like, I will never buy that deck. And the court cards will never speak to me. And they really do. I don't know what happened in between. But I love it so much. I read with it really well instantly. It's become a real workhorse deck for me, which is something to say about a deck that's a real work of art as well. Finally, this one's actually in order because I've been trying to do some work with it. And I should have brought, oh yeah, well. It's the Ana-k Tarot. Also not new in 2017, but new to me. I discovered through Katie Flowers on one of her videos that you could buy the artist's edition of this deck, not the mass-published Llewellyn, which was fine. I liked the mass-published Llewellyn. I'm going to talk about that card in a minute. I'm putting it down there. But I thought when I looked at it, she ships anywhere for €6, you guys. Anywhere. And I thought, well, I could pay about $30 Canadian plus tax for the mass-produced Llewellyn, or I could pay about $46 for something straight from the artist, her edition. I like the card size. The card stock is really thick. I love the different colored borders. I'm really glad I went with this deck. I love it. And initially, like so many other people have said, this Empress card's a great example. I thought I wouldn't like this deck because some of these people are just ugly. They look sort of like Cabbage Patch dolls that have something to prove or are on a revenge. I don't know. But again, when I got it in my hands, it does not matter to me. This Empress really works for me now, and I don't know how to explain it other than that. One of the things I love most, I love the backing of this deck. I didn't show the back of the Pagan Otherworlds, but everybody knows what that is. I love that. But one of the greatest things about this deck is this guidebook. It's exactly the same as the Llewellyn published one, just a little pamphlet version, more cheaply produced. But it's so well written. I feel like after I read this book, I understand the court cards much better than anything else I've ever read. Just this little pamphlet, and I understand the majors way better. I never knew what to do with the world card. It was too all encompassing. It's too the world. What does that have to say about anything? But this really broke it down for me, and I can't recommend it highly enough. It was probably worth the 45 Canadian dollars just to get this little book in terms of my own learning. So that's my first YouTube video. So I'm going to go from here. I'm going to learn what to do next in order to put it up and see if anybody wants to watch. Again, I don't know how many of these I'm going to do. This is something I could talk about because I have quite a few decks. Excuse me. Quite a few decks now. Yeah, so thanks for watching if you're watching, and just rest assured that if you're watching my video, I have 100% watched your video and loved it. So have a great day.